So this is a beautiful morning to join. I think from time to time we will be opening up our morning readings of the lesson. And so, those of you who are kind of joining us for today, just keep an eye out. I think we will be posting that for sure on the Awaken to Love Facebook page. So if you guys are on that, in that group, that's a good way to know about it. We'll just do our best to let people know when we're going to have these openings just beyond our community, so you can be a part of it. So we generally read through the workbook lesson, spend a little time in meditation, and then we'll just explore the lesson together, and there'll be time for questions and sharing. So, without further ado, we can just start. I'll read lesson 139. I will accept atonement for myself. Here is the end of choice, for here we come to a decision to accept ourselves as God created us. And what is choice except uncertainty of what we are? There is no doubt that is not rooted here. There is no question but reflects this one. There is no conflict that does not entail the single simple question: what am I? Yet who could ask this question except one who has refused to recognize himself? Only refusal to accept yourself could make the question seem to be sincere. The only thing that can be surely known by any living thing is what it is. From this one point of certainty, it looks on other things as certain as itself. Uncertainty about what you must be is self-deception on a scale so vast, its magnitude can hardly be conceived. To be alive and not to know yourself is to believe that you are really dead. For what is life except to be yourself? And what but you can be alive instead? Who is the doubter? What is it he doubts? Whom does he question? Who can answer him? He merely states that he is not himself, and therefore being something else becomes a questioner of what that something is. Yet he could never be alive at all unless he knew the answer. If he asks as if he does not know, it merely shows he does not want to be the thing he is. He has accepted it because he lives, has judged against it and denied its worth, and has decided that he does not know the only certainty by which he lives. Thus he becomes uncertain of his life, for what it is has been denied by him. It is for this denial that you need atonement. Your denial made no change in what you are, but you have split your mind into what knows and does not know the truth. You are yourself. There is no doubt of this, and yet you doubt it. But you do not ask what part of you can really doubt yourself. It cannot really be a part of you that asks this question, for it asks of one who knows the answer. Were it part of you, then certainty would be impossible. Atonement remedies the strange idea that it is possible to doubt yourself and be unsure of what you really are. This is the depth of madness. yet it is the universal question of the world. What does this mean except the world is mad? Why share its madness in the sad belief that what is universal here is true? Again, that's so helpful, that sentence. Why share its madness in the sad belief that what is universal here is true? So what is normal here in the world, to believe that it's true, is sad and madness. Nothing the world believes is true. It is a place whose purpose is to be a home where those who claim they do not know themselves can come to question what it is they are. And they will come again until the time atonement is accepted, and they learn it is impossible to doubt yourself and not to be aware of what you are. So he states so clearly here how this is so impossible to believe that we are something that we are not. Only acceptance can be asked of you, for what you are is certain. It is set forever in the holy mind of God and in your own. It is so far beyond all doubt and question that to ask what it must be is all the proof you need to show that you believe the contradiction that you know not, which you cannot fail to know. Is this a question or a statement which denies itself in statement? He's trying to point out the insanity of believing in the separation when what we are is whole. Let us not allow our holy minds to occupy themselves with senseless musings such as this. We have a mission here. We did not come to reinforce the madness that we once believed in. Let us not forget the goal that we accepted. It is more than just our happiness alone we came to gain. What we accept as what we are proclaims what everyone must be along with us. Fail not your brothers, or you fail yourself. Look lovingly on them, that they may know that they are part of you, and you of them. This does atonement teach, and demonstrates the oneness of God's Son is unassailed by his belief he knows not what he is. Today, accept atonement, not to change reality, but merely to accept the truth about yourself, and go your way rejoicing in the endless love of God. It is but this that we are asked to do. It is but this that we will do today. 5 minutes in the morning and at night we will devote to dedicate our minds to our assignment for today. We start with this review of what our mission is. I will accept atonement for myself, for I remain as God created me. We have not lost the knowledge that God gave to us when he created us like him. We can remember it for everyone. For in creation are all minds as one. And in our memory is the recall how dear our brothers are to us in truth, how much a part of us is every mind, how faithful they have really been to us, and how our Father's love contains them all. And thanks for all creation, in the name of its Creator and his oneness with all aspects of creation, we repeat our dedication to our cause today, each hour, as we lay aside all thoughts that would distract us from our holy aim. For several minutes, let your mind be cleared of all the foolish cobwebs which the world would weave around the Holy Son of God, and learn the fragile nature of the chains that seem to keep the knowledge of yourself apart from your awareness. As you say, I will accept atonement for myself, for I remain as God created me. Yeah, so this is such a beautiful lesson. I feel in this lesson that we're being cheered on to remember who we really are. And to let go of any false ideas about us. Again, in so many different ways, he's basically helping us to see that what we have been believing is not helpful. It's not true. We don't have to keep doing that. Really, he's saying that this thought system we've been choosing is unworthy of us. In this last sentence of the first paragraph, there is no conflict that does not entail the single simple question, what am I? It's this doubt about who we are that has given rise to every seeming conflict in our experience in the world. It all has one root. That's the belief that we are not whole, that we are not what we are, which is one with God. And that one doubt thought, taken seriously, has led to a whole seeming experience of time and space. Everything that plays out here. And the belief that we could be this separate, broken off piece. He says a little further down, to be alive and not to know yourself is to believe that you are really dead. And he asks some questions that are almost like Zen koans. Who is the doubter? What is it he doubts? Whom does he question? This way of perceiving, this way of thinking about ourselves is so deeply ingrained we don't even think about it. But here he's asking us to really step outside of that frame and realize it's crazy. And that's how we start to really release it. And for most of us, even questioning our identity at this level, I don't know, may seem like it's shaking the foundations of what we've thought about ourselves. And it is. I mean, it's undoing the false foundation of this thought that we are somehow broken apart from oneness. And this is a jarring thought to the false self-concept, to the little self. But it's the only, question worth asking is, how do we undo this false self-concept? It's the way that we come back to our real birthright, which is actually beyond birth and death, but it's the awareness that we are happy. That's all we are. We are happiness itself. And that's a relief, because we certainly believed a lot of different things from that. So a little further down, in paragraph 7, he says, "Nothing the world believes is true. It is a place whose purpose is to be a home where those who claim they do not know themselves can come to question what it is they are. Only someone who doesn't know themselves believes they're here in this world. Infinite joy doesn't believe in this world." When we remember that that's what we are, we don't believe in this world. But until we get there, that's where the confusion is, that's where the doubt is. And that's, he says, they will come again until the time atonement is accepted. I remember atonement is remembering the truth of what we are. And they learn it is impossible to doubt yourself and not to be aware of what you are. So this lesson, as he often does, is Jesus taking us right to the root. He wants us to know that we have never been apart from our oneness. We've never been apart from totality. We've only had a mistaken belief that we are apart. And even that word, apart, we believe we're apart from God. We believe we're apart and not the whole. What is whole cannot be broken into parts, cannot be torn asunder. And again, what we're doing in this practice is we're not really looking to make something whole, because wholeness already is whole. As he says, only acceptance can be asked of you, for what you are is certain. We're not actually putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. Humpty Dumpty is still whole. The mind is still whole. Nothing is ever broken apart. So we can take some time and open up to any thoughts about this lesson, or if anything is on anyone's mind, anything that's ready for a shift or for healing. See in that last paragraph, the healing is letting the foolish cobwebs be cleared away, which the world would weave around the Holy Son of God. to help us learn the fragile nature of the chains that seem to keep the knowledge of yourself apart from your awareness. The chains seem strong when we're holding on to the beliefs, but they're really fragile. They really break away so easily. Yeah, hi Eva.
I just want to express my gratitude for an invitation to join. And I sat with this lesson this morning, and I saw your message yesterday, but then it came up, of course. It's a possibility to join in this, to join with this lesson, because I feel, it's for me, it's like the prayer, and I so want to open up to receive this lesson and I can see that I can just be willing, and it's undone by the willingness. I can feel these chains and everything, like this, what it all says in the lesson. It will be undone if I'm willing to open. And so thank you so much for this invitation.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I feel your prayer and what you share, a prayer to know the atonement. Yeah. It's so nice that you're here with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, all of those chains of the ego are fragile. I think it's a great expression. Because again, initially they all feel tight and maybe impossible to break. But to Holy Spirit, there's no power in them. There's nothing to them. They're really substanceless. And the way that we come to see that, make that shift, is by opening into them, by bringing them up into the light, to see that there's nothing really there. There's no there. Would you like to share, Anne?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I've been sharing a lot this morning about, the tension that's come up around this lesson, and just sitting here, and there was a lawnmower going on, and I was just feeling really angry with the lawnmower. And with the two guys, I felt really squashed in here, and it's like I just had to stay with that anger and recognise how ridiculous it is, but how it is rooted in the very same thing that the lessons, that Jesus really is trying to teach. This pretend part of the mind. It's like, so when you were sharing, it was so like, it was so connected with you in every way. It was like, you are just me. It was like just that experience in the moment that when you try and talk about it, it doesn't feel, it's like a past thing, but it was so real, and I'm just so grateful that you're here with us. And I love you so much, and I love everybody that's,
Thank you. Love you.
you. Thank you.
Do you have anything on your mind, Francois?
Just I think there's some, feels like I'm been duped by the ego. I see now it's the ego. There was some anger towards God. This morning, this came through, and I get in this moment, and some few moments I get it's the ego that sold me nothing. Just kind of scratching my head, feeling, I can't get angry with the ego, because that would be reinforcing. So anger with anger, fighting.
Yeah, but I think you're right. We have been tricked. We have been tricked by the ego, even though the ego is a thought within our own mind. So we're not really victims of it, but in a sense we've tricked ourselves. Because the ego, it has sold us a false bill of goods, as they say. I keep hearing the phrase "shit sandwich."
Shit sandwich.
And outside it looks like, oh, this is going to be a sandwich, great. But it's not. Doesn't have anything good in it.
And also the fleeting nature of this world. It's like I can't hold on to anything. It's like I'm trying to put my roots down. Yeah, but I guess it should be towards God, placing my life literally in God's heart. Just there's my home, living in. But it's I think the anger is then towards myself. That's why that I choose to believe the ego. Why don't I? Why do I still, in some sense,
But again, mistakes call for correction, not judgment. That don't need to be condemned. Just realized for what they are, so that another choice can be made. Right at the beginning of this lesson, he says, atonement is the end of choice, or something to that effect, saying that when we make that final choice to remember who we are, we don't need choices anymore. There are no choices in heaven.
See, I think I'm thinking of it in the timeline where, I think all 28 years, every moment of that 28 years, I could have chosen. So there's enormous...
It's true. So that is a linear way of looking at it. And the linear way of looking at it will always make you feel bad. That's how the ego cooked up time. Did something wrong in the past. We're guilty now. We're going to be afraid of being punished in the future. That's time right there. But it's not really how things are. One way to see that is that, again, everything is now. So whatever mistaken choice we may have made can be undone in this instant. And if there's still fear and we're not fully ready to make a new choice, we can also remember that nothing really happened. You can't be guilty for something you never did. So really, you could say forgiveness is pulling the rug out from under the ego. Because the ego doesn't really have anything real to justify its trying to make you guilty. But we don't see that until we actually look at that rug, or until we look at what it's standing on and realize it's not true. And I've sometimes heard of it like a castle built on air. The ego's thought system can at times seem like a big deal, but it's built on air. It's not. There's nothing supporting it. Or maybe like a tower of playing cards. You can build playing cards up pretty high, but they're shaky. They're unstable. They're not. And in truth, they're not resting on anything. It's like if you built playing cards up on nothing. Well, of course they're going to fall. But it's only the belief there is something for them to rest on that they seem to stand. And the ego is very defended against us looking and seeing there's nothing there. Even those of us working with this, practicing it, studying it, we get this, as a concept. We know. We know there's no truth to the ego. But to actually know it, like in the depth of our being, this is what forgiveness is all about. It's basically we go back to the root over and over again. And each time we see more, we see deeper. There's no root there. There's nothing to it. In one of the other Gospels of Jesus, he talks about how there was a vine that was grown outside of the walls of the kingdom. He's talking about the ego thought system here. He says it will be pulled up by its root and will be gone, wither away. Because that's what we're doing. We're pulling up the ego thought system by the root. And it withers away. And all the seeming guilt that goes with it withers away too.
I often heard David saying, David and Jason says it a lot, like healing is from the bottom up, not from the top down. It's when you really get that, it's really good to understand what that means, Like for years I think I always was trying to heal from the top down, like just brushing over things and not really looking at things. When you really start from the bottom up, you know, gradually you get there. You know, you can feel it each time. You get lighter and lighter. So yeah, I think it's the only way that works, really.
Yeah.
Kind of drawn a blank with what you've just said, and I wonder if there's a way to just further explain it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I can say how I used to be, you know, since for like over 10 years I was, you know, the way in the community metaphysical ghosting is used, like spiritually bypassing your problems, you know, using the Course to just non-dual it all away, you know. I'm not a body, and so that's kind of staying at, you know, from the top down in a way. You're trying to get the concepts right, you're saying the right things, but you're not really healing much. Like I still healed for them many years, but only the last few years I feel, now it's from the bottom up. It's, you know, like taking up the roots, you know, you're really getting to the core of it. From there, the healing starts.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and that roots analogy also is really good when you just think about, right, if you're trying to get rid of a weed and you cut it off at the ground level, well, it's just going to grow again.
Yeah.
You know, you can cut it hundreds of times, it's going to keep growing back because the roots are what we need to deal with.
This also reminds me of the story in the Bible about the sane man who built his house on the rock versus the insane who built his house on the sand. Did you remember that?
Yeah, and Jesus refers to that in the Course. Yeah, I mean the rock is to build our identity, to build who we are on the foundation of God. That's the rock. But when we believe that we're, you know, a little person in a world of shift and change, this world of time and space, we can't really feel safe, or we can't know our truth. So it's a matter of having a mistaken identity.
It's really interesting because here it says in the first paragraph that what is choice except uncertainty of who we are, even though the lesson just before that it was speaking about the choice for heaven, and I can see here that the choice is simply to accept. It's not really that, because there is always the feeling of tension around making a choice, and it's just the illusion of a choice.
Yeah, as long as we have a split mind, we will have to choose which part of the mind we're gonna be in. But ultimately, we're gonna move beyond choice, and that's what the atonement is. Accepting that there is no other option, there is no other thing we can be other than truth.
Yeah, as you were reading the lesson, Barret, I was just like, the tension in my mind was just felt like it was dissolving, and just like light coming in. It felt like like you were talking about, the cobwebs were just dissolving, and I could feel the peace and the love, and it was just really nice. So it sort of got amplified as you were reading the lesson. Yeah, so just grateful to be here and join you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here with us. It's beautiful, Nicole. As you were just sharing about that, I remembered the kind of story of sometimes, there'll be an oil spill in the water and all this oil will wash up on shore. And, people who go to clean this up, it's like a continual process, right? They're basically like washing rocks or, whatever's on the shore. And what happens? Well, the rock is clean for a little bit, but then, more oil washes up onto the shore and it gets dirty again. And they have to wash it some more and clean it. And this is like the process of undoing the ego. It seems to kind of keep washing up onto us, like new waves of it. But every time we clean it, there's actually less oil. There's less of the darkness in our mind. Fewer cobwebs, fewer chains. And eventually, we've actually, washed away the last bit of darkness. And I think, again, this is what Jesus was saying right at the beginning, that this is the end of choice. When we clean that last bit of shadow from our mind, that's really what we're going for here. This is where we come into the state of being the happy dreamer, because we can be in a dream completely unaffected by it, as long as we really know that it's not true. At that point, all we want to do is just share love, because that's all that's left in our mind. I think the first time I heard about people cleaning up after an oil spill, I thought, what an awful job, to be having to kind of scrub rocks clean again and again and again. But I think in this analogy, I kind of think the opposite. There's nothing better to do. Nothing better to do than to clean this oil spill of the ego. Maybe we give a little duck a bath or something, and, help it be happy. Any other sharings? Yeah. Anything up for anyone else? Lori, did you have anything?
Yeah, I feel like this lesson was yesterday. I just let myself just be with all of the stuff that was coming up, the emotions. And today it feels like an answer to my prayer, this lesson. Yeah, I watched Love and Mercy, the movie about the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys yesterday. And it felt similar to Ruby Sparks that we watched on the retreat. Just the insanity of the ego and the manipulation and the control and yeah. And there's one part, like in Spirit, when he's in Spirit, he's just a musical genius. But then he's got all this darkness and depression and grew up with a controlling father, and then he gets a manager that just plays that part again. Controlling his every move. But there's a scene in it where they have like a big hit, and suddenly he knows that there's going to be a whole lot of freedom. The music company aren't going to have the same reins on him. And everyone's excited, talking around the table, and his reaction is, "Has my dad phoned?" Like he wants to go back to... It's too scary to have...
it feels a bit like that with this belief in like pure communication. Like really, the defending the littleness has been coming up for days. But like, if I really let this go, it's recognising that I want to hold on to it. Because if I let it go, like anything's possible. And that's far too scary. Yeah. But then the second movie I watched, it was funny because Jenny put the message on, you were watching Rain Man about autism, and I was already watching Being There, about the man that grows up in the garden. He spends his whole life in a garden, basically. He's the gardener for like a big posh house. Oh God, and his ways, even David's commentary saying he was simple and direct at the start, and he's simple and direct at the end. He doesn't even need to go on a journey, he just is what he is. And it feels like today's lesson, like that's the choice. Insanity of the ego, control, and yeah.
Yeah. I think, Laura, you can just be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Because the ego is trying to phone you up, or like be like that thought to go back to dad, the control. But I think you're getting better at not picking up the phone. Which paradoxically means you're getting better at picking up the phone and communicating,
Yeah. When Jenny said yesterday, like, you said, is that what you want to do, give up the expression session? I just knew instantly. I thought, and it's mad how it wasn't an option. I didn't see it as an option because I'm just so used to trying to fight through. Yeah, there was moments yesterday where I thought it's like Laurie nil, communication issue 1, it's 1 again. There's a belief that it's insurmountable. But when I saw it clearly yesterday that I actually want it because there's protectionism in it. Yeah, I'd love to just relax. I just want to relax. I just really want to relax. But it catches me. It seems to catch me in this place every time. Like this, like I need to dig and I need to. Yeah, that's my prayer. And it does feel like it's happening. I am trusting that when things are ready to be seen, they come and they can be let go of. Yeah, I'd just love to be like that guy, just a calm. I feel like I've been saying it my whole life. I just want to be calm. That's all I want.
Yeah, it feels pure.
Yeah. Thank you.
That might be a nice note for us to end on for today. I just want to be calm.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. Yeah, you can turn the camera, Grace, so everyone can see it, you and everybody.
Just you in the phone.
connect more with you guys all later. And we'll see you again too, Nicole. So lots of love.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Nicole.
Bye.